Yes, indeed, man. I mean, had to bring you back, man. This documentary got everybody talking, people going at it. So, it was only right to bring you back and get your point of view, man. But I want to get right into it, man. 50 and Ja. How you feel about both of them going at it? You seen it?
I couldn't do nothing but see it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because 50, tried to smash him with one of the stories that we told on Art of Dialogue before. But what people don't realize is that the story that they put out there is like that having to have some money to keep Big and Craig Mack around before he got to Clyde Davis. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't able to tell that story because they didn't have no intel on that story or what went down, or they didn't do their investigations right, which he also led up to the reason why Wolf ain't here today. You understand? They didn't tell that story. They didn't tell a story about Jessica Rosenbaum, who was at the City College situation. You understand? When it was Puff, Heavy D, and Jessica.
And that was the Valley Mob. That's the only way. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And people they didn't even put that in the documentary. Wolf ended up losing his life behind.
The Diddy documentary has been the talk of the town. It has shaken the industry and put many powerful names on edge. But if there is one person who has been going after Diddy long before 50 Cent ever picked up a camera, it is Gan Deal. And now Gan is making some explosive claims that could change everything. According to him, there is footage the public never got to see, footage that 50 Cent allegedly chose to censor. So the big question is, why? Why was Gan Deal completely absent from a documentary exposing Diddy? And more importantly, what exactly was left on the cutting room floor that someone did not want the world to hear? This is where things start getting uncomfortable. When people started asking why Gan Deal was missing from the Diddy documentary, the assumption was simple. Maybe he did not want to be involved. But according to Gan, that could not be further from the truth. In fact, behind the scenes, it looked like he was very much supposed to be part of it, until things took a sharp turn. Gan says conversations were happening early on, calls were being made, and names were being exchanged. The vision sounded big, detailed, and uncompromising music, and Gan was not coming alone. The idea was to bring in multiple voices, each covering a different side of the bad boy era, including the business, the upbringing, and the streets. Together, it would have painted a complete picture that could not easily be brushed aside or softened. But then the tone shifted. What started as professional quickly became uncomfortable. Gan claims the energy changed once money, control, and authority entered the conversation. Promises did not line up with reality, and suddenly the power structure behind the documentary did not look the way he was led to believe. The name being used to sell the project, according to Gan, did not actually hold the influence people assumed it did. And that is when things really got messy.
I mean, I had to bring you back. This documentary got everyone talking, man. A lot of people want to know why you wasn't in it, man.
Well, first and foremost, I thought I was going to be in the documentary at first until I started talking to that director. I think her name is Stapleton. I don't know her name. I don't know, man. Me and 50 talked like 45 minutes. The producers had been calling me and everything. So this one night, 50 called me up and, they got him on the phone. Me and him was just talking. We was talking about old times. Sit down with Black Hands, sit down with, with Puff Kids, the whole Puff situation, and this documentary that he's going to be doing. You know what I'm saying? So I told him that I was going to, have Kirk and Tim. Kirk would be the one who talk about the business part of it. Tim would be the one who talk about the growing up phase with Diddy and everything and over there working in the record industry with him and stuff like that. They was like family. And I was gonna talk about, the street stuff, what was going on with Bad Boy, with the security, with Wolf, with the City College, with, the time that I knew about when I was with him up until about early 2004 or something like that. But basically the streets and then the traveling with him and the atmosphere and everything, and then go back into the Notorious Big stuff with the Tupac and the whole 9 years, all the stuff that I knew, you know what I'm saying? So we was talking and he sounded like, yo, listen to him. They gonna spare no expense with this whole documentary. So I said, all right, cool. So what I did was I spoke to Tim and I spoke to Kirk Burrow. And I was like, yo, because I had Tim's number. Tim didn't know how to get in touch with Kirk. Kirk didn't know how to get in touch with Tim. But Kirk was trying to tell me, you know, give him the number with the Tim. I said, nah, I ain't doing that. You know, so I gave one of the producers the number in the whole 9 yards to get in touch with Tim because I want to see him get money because I know Tim got a hell of a story with Puff. So then I talked to Tim and I told him, yo, listen here, man, we should go in as a package deal. You know, all three of us, we could tell a hell of a story about this whole documentary. You know what I'm saying? From front to start. You know, and then whatever stuff that they get and everything like that. So yo, let's go in there and ask them for 50 a piece. You know what I'm saying? So Tim was like with it, yo, Gene, whatever, you know, go ahead like that. Kirk was like, yeah, okay, cool, Gene. You know, it was like a general census that we was gonna do this in a whole package deal. You know what I'm saying? And then I started speaking to the producers and everything like that, because 50 had told me himself that they was gonna spare no cost in doing this because he wanted to tell the story and he wanted to tell the story like it was supposed to be told and everything like that. I said, yeah, okay. So then the director, I gotta get her name, man, because it don't even sound, I wanna put her on blast because she was telling me, you know, she was saying to me that what I was asking for was crazy and they wasn't spending money like that. I'm talking about you got footage, you got clothing, you got, I was doing footage, I had pictures, all the stuff that I had, you know, you could figure out a way to pay them, brother, and stuff like that. And then I was telling her about some prices that I've already received and I had the invoices to show it. And then she was calling me like I was lying. I'm like, yo, who do you think you're talking to? You know what I'm saying? And she was talking about, you know, there's no way nobody paid. Nobody what? I say, first of all you people come with these documentaries and stuff, the first thing you tell me, y'all tell these people out here that y'all don't pay, and y'all pay. You give, if you can make a picture look like $10,000, $15,000, you know what I'm saying? You can sit here and tell me that you're gonna pay me for my time sitting right down here with y'all. You understand? So then, you know, one thing led to another, and I was like, yo, all right, well then, you know, F you, you know, I spoke to 50, and then she said 50, and this is exact words that came out her mouth. 50 does not determine what goes in and goes out of this documentary. And he definitely don't pay, he determine what somebody get paid. It's not his documentary like that. I was like, oh, so if it's not his documentary and I spoke to him like that, I don't need to be doing nothing with you because I'm doing this on the strength of him. But you gonna pay me if I do it. So it went back and forth, you know what I'm saying, for a little bit. And then they had Kirk Burrows giving me calls and everything like that. When you call,
Wolf had already told, Anthony Wolf Jones had already told them, if you're not taking two tour buses of my from the Valley, that's Co-op City in the Bronx, the Valley in the Bronx. If you're not taking these 2 tour buses of my niggas out there, I'm not going. Had told Puff them, had told Kirk Burrows. You understand? I went down there and Kirk Burrows called me up. He said, yo, Gene, you and Wolf, I got y'all tickets to LA. I said, all right, cool. So I go down there and I pick up the tickets to LA. I got Wolf ticket. So I'm calling Wolf up. I said, yo, Wolf, I got your ticket to go to LA. Wolf said, I ain't going. I said, what you mean you ain't going? He said, yo, Gene, I ain't gonna tell you how I'm making I ain't gonna tell you how to make your money, but I'm gonna let you know this. I told Puff them if they wasn't gonna take 2 tour buses of my niggas out there with us, I'm not going. Wolf is the head of all the functions that has to do with Puff dealing with security. I had my own contract with Puff, yeah. Paul Alford ran Green Gate Security, which is the daily operations of Puff stuff. That's his house, his cars, his transportation. He ran the office, the bad boy office, the clothing, all. He ran the daily operation with his security. Wolf is over whatever's happening with Puff. You understand? Wolf tells Puff them and tell Kirksboro them, no, if y'all not going out there right, nobody should go out there at all. Kirk calls me, I said, yo, Gene, you gonna go? I said, yeah, I'll go, bro. He said, Gene, I said, yo, dog, but we shouldn't be going out there. I tell Kirk the whole, yo, Gene, all y'all gonna be doing is going to the studio and y'all gonna go to Soul Train and go to the studio. Y'all not hanging out, y'all not doing nothing. All me and Puff did when we went there that month was hang out. And I told people all the time, and I said in the documentary before, I thought this kid had a death wish, because all we did was hang out. We never saw Big at not one of the events that me and him went to, the House of Blues, movie theaters, not the California, the Celebrity Club, I guess, is it Celebrity? No, begins with a C. Never seen him in none of the clubs, none of the places. You understand? Big ain't coming to none of the places. The one time Big went out is when he got. The one club that he went out to is and that's where he got. So Wolf did not and was not going anywhere that had to do with California. And it wasn't because of the Jake situation. It was that he wanted to be safe, and the only way he felt safe if he was going out there with the dudes from his clique. And that was the Valley Mob. That's the only way. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And people they didn't even put that in the documentary. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his and that with BMF. That's a big segment in my book that I wrote I wrote a whole big situation in my book regarding that, Mighty. And I know you're doing this. I want to say that right there because I was there the night that Meech had promised Puff, you know what I'm saying? He ain't have to worry about Suge Knight. He ain't have to worry about nobody from this point on. And telling Puff some shit made him think that he could talk to Wolf any kind of way. Because if anybody knew, BMF was powerful back then. They had dudes from everywhere. And Meech telling him he ain't have to worry about nobody no more. It made Puff think that he could tell Wolf that he didn't need Wolf no more.
Diddy, he used Big budget to pay for, Big's funeral.
Yeah, when I heard that ain't the first time I heard it though, bro. They said Big had paid for his funeral through his budget. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody would know that, Kirk Burrow would know that. And I heard Wayne Barrows came out and said some, but to refute that. You know what I'm saying? But if Miss Wallace got a check and the check, if she got Biggie's, if they had Biggie's budget and that was taken out, money was taken out that budget for his funeral, he did use it. And if anybody knew that, Kirk Burrows would know that, because he was handling the money and the operations at that time. Wayne Barrows was one of the dudes, him and Mark Pitts, that actually was managing Big's affairs. You understand? They was his manager. Big had told me that he was gonna get rid of them because they didn't know what they was doing before he died. I had a conversation with Big. Big said, yo, I'm getting rid of them because they the one effing me up, because they the one that convinced him to sell his publishing and his marketing to Puff. They was Puff boys. I guess they met in school or whatever like that. But Big was gonna get rid of them. But because he died and his mother didn't know the business, she kept him around for years. If you look at anything that happened with the Notorious Biggs and his camp, you see Wayne Barrows on there as executive producer. And he was just a manager of some of Big affairs. He was executive producers of damn near everything that went on that had to do with. If Miss Wallace was the executive producer, he was the executive producer too. Look at some of the things that was done. And now he's suing, trying to get money from Faith because of, he's saying that she has to pay the Wallace estate, and Miss Wallace is dead, Big is dead. If the estate is anything, it's CJ, Tatiana, and Faith. That's the estate. But he's saying there's some other kind of thing that he's suing them for. So Wayne Barrows is the dude that, call it any way you want to, that's been Sherwood Forest, and he got Big them in Sherwood Forest. I'm gonna put it that way. He got his estate in Sherwood Forest.
Crazy, man. But yeah, Kirk Burrows, he spoke a lot in this documentary, man. He was letting everything go. He also said that, Diddy, he did take the Rolling Stone cover from Big after Big died.
Bruh, you have to look at his sociopath, his narcissism, and see that it shows you he really didn't care about Big like he did. What Kirk didn't tell the truth about that whole thing is that even when we was in California, Kirk tried to act like that he didn't know that Puff told him that Big wasn't going to London. I know what the question you asked, but I gotta get this out, bro. Is that on Thursday, me and Puff was in a limousine. Kirk Burrows was getting Puff the itinerary of what Big and what's his respect, and told him that we was leaving Saturday, this, that, and the third, the whole 9 yards. On Thursday, Puff told Kirk Burrows, Big ain't going nowhere. He told him that Thursday, Big was not going nowhere. He said, I don't care what you do, you could go do whatever you want to do, but Big ain't going nowhere. Kirk Burrows was telling him how he had set up this whole and how Arista had paid off all this money for Big to be. Puff was adamant that Big wasn't going nowhere. Now, we were shooting the Hypnotized video. Me and Big was in the Winnebago, and Big was telling me his whole life story. What he wanted to do, his plans, all this. He would say, yo, Gene, I would take you with me, but you love that nigga too much. Nigga, I don't love nobody like that too much. What's up? He said, yo, what's up with the money? I said, nigga, you broke. You know what I'm saying? You owe Mike Gadget 30,000 for, I'm just going in on big and we just talking all kinds of stuff.